Good morning. Um, Hi, Dora. My glasses are so filthy. I can barely, I can barely see, but that's all right. All right. Yeah. Friday, end of the week. Pretty great. Um, Poured all of yesterday. Way too cold to get anything done. So I read a book, which was great. Um, it's not looking great today either. It's really cold, like in the 40s. And if you have you still have any plants out, it's supposed to be in the 30s tonight and for, the next few days. So um, you might think about bringing them in. I know I still have a couple house plants out on the porch that I better get a hold of. They've been looking a little unhappy out there. So I probably should have brought them in sooner, but they'll be all right. One of them um, is a plant that I bought when I uh, started the yoga studio in my garage. And so I've had it for quite a bit. I've repotted it a couple times, and it uh, was in a nice kind of sunny window. But it stayed pretty cold because that garage was not heated unless I was up there teaching a class. So it got heat a little bit every day, but not too much. And the plant did fine. So I'm thinking it's definitely a possible to have that plant live in, you know, Arctic Arctic circumstances, or at least down in the 50s or so. 'Cause that's where it usually was most of the time. Um, all right. Um, so let's see. What are we going to talk about today? Last yama. So we've hit ahimsa, which is the non-harming, satya, which is the truth, living your truth, telling the truth. Um, Asteya, not stealing, not taking things from others or taking responsibility away from others. Brahmacharya, which is moderation, um, not uh, getting going overboard with things, but um, giving things their proper importance in our life. Um, Last one is Apari Graha, Apari Graha, um, which is um, this idea of not coveting, not being greedy or avaricious, right? I love that word, avaricious. That's our good word for this type of behavior. Um, so, not taking more than you need. Um, we, as a country, I think as a society, we have a real problem with this. Um, we regularly have way more than we need in all ways, right? People have houses that are way bigger than they could ever use. They spend a lot of their resources furnishing, heating, cooling um, these spaces that really are never used. Um, I remember back when the kids were younger, my husband had a couple of boats, and we used to keep it at a marina. And I remember going to the marinas and just being amazed at how many boats were there and were just sitting there for the entire season and maybe many, many seasons. And of course, we were new boat owners, so pretty excited about it. We were there like every weekend. Um, and these boats never moved. They were always there. And I remember thinking, what a waste, what a what all of that represented so much wealth, so much potential, right? That was just sitting and doing nothing, just kind of rotting away in the elements. And then we have issues like goodwill, right? So much stuff, and I forget when. Oh, I know, it was after the Marie Kondo. So that was not, I think, it wasn't this year, it was the year before. When I don't know if you've heard of Marie Kondo, but she's a Japanese woman, and wrote a very popular book about cleaning up your house, getting organized. Um, Very interesting. There's kind of a metaphysical aspect to it, which I really like that she kind of touches on that. That it isn't just as simple as getting rid of the stuff. You have to kind of change the way you're thinking about it as well. And, being very respectful of the process that, you didn't get there in one day, and, you need to kind of unlearn the process as you go. Um, so anyway, there was then a Netflix series about her and her program. And so, Goodwill experienced this like deluge of donations shortly after that, as people decided, they needed to get rid of all their stuff and clean up their house. And so there's clearly a great deal of things that people have accumulated. Um, and I've heard my friends and people of my father's sort of generation as well that have a lot of stuff and no one wants it, right? Um, Everyone has too much stuff already. It used to be, and I remember growing up, it was we had all hand-me-downs. Like every piece of furniture in our house came from one of my grandmothers, or somebody's aunt or uncle, or it was passed down from somebody else. Um, Nothing matched, nothing went really together, but it was functional, and so we made it work. Um, but now, that's not at all how people do things, and consequently, there is so much stuff. Um, so, if we think about that in yogic terms, it is very wasteful. If you think of all the resources that we're taking up to create all of this stuff, when there's already a lot of really good stuff available. Um, I think, we're coming back around to that a little bit. Um, and, I hate to say that I think it's, people are, um, younger people don't have as much money to spend, I think, as people did. And so they're looking for other ways to spend it. So I guess that's how it is, right? We have big times and then harder times, and harder times is when people think about reusing stuff. But what we need to remember, right, is if we can get to the point where we are consuming in a balanced way, then maybe there won't be these big hard times, easy times. It will be a little easier, a little smoother. Um, so just as we make our life more peaceful and more um, event neutral, right? We can affect our world. If everyone is consuming a little less, then there's more for everyone. And that's, again, like a good way to think about it, that the world is for all of us. It's not just for the people with a lot of money. It's for all of us. And we all have this uh, right to be here. We have a right to be able to feed our family and have a decent place to live and not be ill, to get help when we need it. All of these things should not be conditional. And they become conditional when we have people taking too much more than they could ever possibly use in a million years. Um, so yoga is, it's kind of um, you know, a revolutionary thought in this way, right? It's kind of counter our culture in many ways, but it's from the inside out, right? Yoga doesn't say tear down your structures, take all the money from the rich people and give it to the poor. Yoga says you don't want to be that person, right? If you are a person who's hoarding things, you're doing something wrong. You need to let that go. You need to realize that you have way too much and change the way you think about it. Where could that money go? Where could those resources go? Who could they help? And I think often about people who have so many things in their home. Um, and I remember a show that I used to watch sometimes, and I stopped watching it because it was just so distressing. The hoarders they had on TV, that it always starts out so simply, right? That they have a lot of stuff, they love things, they love to shop, and then maybe somebody in their family dies and leaves them a great deal of things to get rid of. They don't really want to deal with that, so they just store it in their house. And then maybe another person, and pretty soon, like, they can't even get out of their house. And it's really very sad. And again, as the things sit in the house, they get ruined. Um, the house is too full to do maintenance. You can't get into the corners, so the roof leaks, the pipes break. There's rats or animals in the house that cause problems. And what was once a beautiful assortment of things becomes just garbage. So that's when we think about that, it becomes easier, right? Things have a useful life. They won't last forever. You need to, if you can't use them, you need to pass them along to someone else. And we do have all of these great resources of Goodwill and other charities. There are charities that will come to your house and pick things up. So you don't even have to go there. You can just call, make an appointment, leave the things on a porch or outside. They'll come and get them. Think of the people that you could bless in your life with the things you don't need. People sometimes feel like they need to keep these things because they think they'll need them someday, right? But I like to think that there's always Goodwill. You could think of Goodwill as your storage facility, right? So instead of spending hundreds of dollars a month, and there are people spending hundreds of dollars a month to store the things that they don't have room for in their house, why don't you give them to Goodwill and they'll keep them for you? Maybe someone can use them, but they might just be there next time you need them. I don't know. So a great rule of thumb is if you haven't used something in 6 months, you probably can get rid of it. And if you're not sure, put it in a box. If you haven't used something in 6 months, stick it in a box. Wait another 6 months. If you haven't touched the box, get rid of it. And you don't even have to wait that long if you don't want to. That's my outside limit. Is a year, right? A full year. You haven't used anything in a full year, you probably don't ever need it again. And if you do, someone else will have given it to Goodwill and you can get it there. A lot of this is based in fear, right? Hoarding comes from, fear and attachment. So the fear is that we won't be able to buy these things again, that we need to hold on, right? Because you have to be prepared for every possible eventuality. And the truth is, you don't, right? That's a lack of faith. You need to have faith that you've made it this far in your life, and you've either gotten the things that you needed or done without them. You'll do the same in the future, no matter what. You don't need to be surrounded by everything. You have the ability to get those things if you need them. So let them go. And I think, in my experience, this idea of letting things go from your life is a two-way street. Just like karma, you just like you sort of develop karma from your actions. This is another way. As you let things go that you don't need, other things come into your life that you can use. Um, there is an exchange, and I've noticed that in my life, that the lighter I get with the things I get rid of, the better things feel, and the more I'm open to new things that come through. I'm not stuck in this sort of fortress of stuff. And I've experienced this in my life, right? I definitely have tendencies towards hoarding. my my dad was a big hoarder. I understand that impulse, um, but I also understand how damaging it can be. So you got to strike the balance that's right for you with that. But know that getting rid of things is the best course if you're not sure, right? The other thing is the attachment, right? And a lot of people do. They've got attachment to things that people gave them, um, things that they remember from their childhood, um, good things, like you have this really nice thing that was antiques or really beautiful things. Um, the sad fact, I mean, and it is just a fact, really. Shouldn't really be sad or unsad, but um, not everybody cares about things as much as you do. Your kids may not just care about those things in the way that you did. Just because you have an attachment to them doesn't mean your kids or your relatives, they may have completely different feelings about it. Maybe they don't have any associations with it, so it doesn't mean anything to them. They're not going to want it. And it doesn't matter how long you hold on to it, they're never going to want it. So better that you should pass that along to someone who will. So if it's valuable, there's a lot of auction places. You can call them; they'll come and pick it up. There are places that will sell the things for you online. It's a great way to pass things on. My father and I went through a lot of his stuff and did it that way. Found people all over the country who were just as excited about this old. My dad had a lot of old car stuff. People that were just crazy about it, loved it, were sent thank you notes. I mean, there are people out there who want those things, but they're not going to find them when they're sitting in your house somewhere. So get it out there, put it out into circulation, and it'll find its home. Um, but the main thing is you don't need to hold on to it. You don't need to be its guardian. You take a picture of it. If it's something that you love and is very beautiful, take a picture and keep it. Keep the picture. Keep the memory of what that represents to you. Those things will always be with you. Those thoughts, those memories, um, and they're really what matter, not the thing itself. So, um, Aparigraha, the best way to get out of this is to just stop holding on to things. Um, if you don't want it, you don't need it, you're not using it, pass it along. Um, there'll be more to come. There always is. So much more all the time. So, all right. So those are the yamas, which are, the framework um, for all of these things. Um, Aparigraha beyond, so I really talked a lot about the hoarding, right? Because I mean, it's an issue close to home, and I think a lot of us have that issue. But again, it could be other things that you're hoarding. Maybe you hold on to too much food in your house. This is another thing people do, right? Pass that along. Um, if you've got extra, give it to your neighbor. Give it to somebody who could use a good meal. Everybody knows somebody like that who doesn't cook and doesn't know how to cook and ends up eating out all the time. Share your bounty. If you've got skills and abilities, share them with others. Um, there's no reason to keep all that to yourself. The more you can give, the more you receive. That is a truth. Um, in doing this, also, it kind of it keeps us in that sense of everyone's in this together, right? Um, we aren't just in this castle here building up a wall of stuff and things to keep us safe. Um, where it it makes your life a little more collaborative, and um, it's just more enjoyable. We're part of a group. We are a social animal, I guess you can say, right? We are meant to work in together and work in groups and work collaboratively on things. So um, if you feel like you don't have a lot of that in your life, you got to start. You just got to be the one to get it started. And that's a great way to do it, is to just start moving things out, giving away what you have that's extra. Um, and people will be amazed. Some people will be perplexed and won't know what to do with that. That's okay. But a lot of people will appreciate it and probably try to respond in kind, um, which is nice. And you may come up with some stuff that you really can use. So it's a win-win. All right. So we're not going to do a lot of practice today because I am feeling really achy today. I was doing a lot of painting the other day, and my shoulders are still really bothered by all that. Because I think I'm getting old. I think that's the truth of it. Plus, it's like rainy and creaky, and we're gonna move slow. So here we go. Some asana. Just breathe and relax. And then drop your head down. The shoulders relax. And then lifting up the head, lift the chin. Back to center, moving the head over to the right. Back to center and moving left. Back up. Lean forward here. And move around. One way and then the other. Back up to your seat, arms wide. Take a deep breath and then exhale, hands together. Inhale and exhale. Inhale And exhale. Interlace the fingers. Lift the hands. We're gazing up. And then arms down by your side. Inhale, lift. And lower. Lift. And lower. Once more, lift. And then right arm down by your side, reach across. Switch sides. Back up. Lift the shoulders, roll back. And forward. Right hand on left knee. Left arm behind you. Sit up tall and twist. Back to center. Switch sides. Back to center. Walk the hands out. Coming back up. Both legs out in front. Deep breath. Fold forward. Coming back up. Let's point and flex the feet. And making circles. One way and the other. Bend the knees, soles of the feet together, sitting up tall. Take a deep breath and then lean forward. Come on back up. Both legs out in front. Inhale, exhale, fold. Bending the right knee. We're going to hug that in close. And then lowering the knee out to the side. That Right foot is up close to the thigh on the left side. Take a deep breath and then leaning forward. Moving back up. Switch sides. Deep breath in, fold forward. And back up. Both legs out in front. Deep breath. Pull forward. Back up. Bend the knees again. Soles of the feet to the mat. Or soles of the feet together. Take a breath. Fold. And you might be able to fold further this time. I don't know. Every time we're moving through the poses, they kind of, loosen things up a little bit. Coming back up. Let's lift the knees, catch a hold of the toes or the feet. Lean back a little. So we're balancing. And then maybe extending halfway or fully extending. Bend the knees. Set the feet back down. And we're going to lower down on our back. Relax and breathe. Let's bring soles of the feet together, knees apart. Maybe bring the arms up over the head. Knees to center. We're going to hug that right leg in close to the body. lowering out to the side. And then bring the knee to center. We're going to keep going. Bring that across the body. Breathe. And then back. Switch legs. Squeeze the left leg in. Lowering then out to the side. Back to center. And bring that leg across the body. Breathe. And then flat on your back again. Extend the legs and the arms, 5-pointed star. Spin the arms up over the head and the legs together. Walking the feet and the hands over a little to the right. So we're kind of stretching through that left side. You could bring the left foot on top of, or the left ankle on top of the right ankle. Kind of help that stretch a little. Moving back to center and then to the left. back to center. Bend the knees. And we're going to bring the right ankle, top of the left knee. Staying here or drawing that left thigh in, whichever is in your practice. And switch sides. And then both feet back down to the mat. Let's walk feet out to the edges of the mat and just bump the knees together. Take some deep breaths. And then the feet back, where they normally are. We're going to do supported bridge. So if you got a block, if you can get a block, you can reach it. And lift up. Find that place that works. And breathe. So you can keep the legs where they are. You could extend them. Bring the knees into the chest. You could lift the legs up overhead. Lots of options here. You can do none of that if you don't want to. And then when you're ready, you can lift up, remove the block, and rest back down. And then as you're ready, you can move into Shavasana, finding a comfortable place. to rest on the mat for a little bit. Nothing you have to do, nowhere you have to be. Shavasana is very special because it's one of the few times in the day that no one is going to ask you to do anything. But again, this good feeling that we get with Shavasana, you could get any time you wanted to, right? Shavasana after yoga is great, right? It's very much a nice, sort of special kind of Shavasana. But that sensation of just being is available to you at any time. You could take 5 minutes or 10 minutes to just breathe. Make sure that your phone is away and you're not going to answer the door or you let anyone in your house know to leave you be. And notice how different it feels when we know we won't be disturbed, when we know there's nothing else we should be doing. This is our goal. So moving a bit, fingers and toes, hands and feet. And making your way up to a seat. We can bring hands together. Deep breath in and out. Thank you for taking time this morning for yoga and for sharing your practice with me. I hope you have a very good Friday. Namaste. Thank you. Yeah, happy Friday. Let's do 5 minutes of meditation because why not? We're here. We might as well get it done, right? Don't put it off. You'll you'll think, oh, I'm going to do this later. You probably won't. I find it hard to pick that back up later in the day. So sitting up, chair or floor, whatever you want is fine. Just being comfortable. You don't want to be super distracted by how you're feeling in the body. But again, like if you ever do feel uncomfortable, you have to move around, go right ahead. You don't have to hold yourself, tight still during meditation. So close the eyes, have that nice, normal, peaceful breath. Finding your focus. And just breathe. opening your eyes, coming back to everyday stuff. And we're done. Some yoga and meditation for the day. All right. Well, enjoy your day. Stay warm. See what you can get done. And, or nothing. Maybe read a book. I might continue reading a book today. I don't know. We'll see. And tomorrow's Saturday, so I'll be here, and then here's Sunday. So tomorrow is also Halloween, so hooray! Also, I indexed. I think I talked a little more about the pumpkin display earlier in the week, but yeah, it starts on Saturday night, Halloween, and then it goes for a few days. So if you can get out there to see it, it's out Cox Neck Road, not too far from town. You can't miss it. If it's nighttime and they're lit, you'll absolutely know which house it is. So, all right, take care, and I will be back tomorrow.